You put it on, and it hurt, and you put it on again. Not because you enjoy the pain, not because you are punishing yourself, but because something in that song isn't finished yet. Something it is trying to say, or something you are trying to feel, hasn't arrived at wherever it needs to arrive. And so you press play again, and again, and you sit with it, and it hurts, and you let it hurt. And somewhere around the 15th, or 40th, or 60th time, it stops. This is the psychology of people who listen to the same song on repeat until it stops hurting. You know exactly how this works. Something happened, or something is happening, or something ended, and you haven't finished ending with it yet. And you found the song, or the song found you. And something in those 4 minutes says the thing that nothing else has been able to say. It might be a lyric that describes your situation so precisely it frightens you, or a melody that sounds like the feeling itself, not a description of it, but the actual texture of it, or a voice that sounds like it has been through exactly what you are going through right now. And so you stay there, inside that 4 minutes, on repeat. Because out here, in the world, in the conversations, in the silence between people who don't know what you're carrying, nobody has said it right yet, but the song does, every single time. Psychologists call this emotional elaboration. Here's what that means. When you experience something painful, grief, heartbreak, confusion, loss, the emotion arrives before the understanding does. You feel it before you can name it, before you can shape it, before your mind can find the edges of it. And the brain needs time. It needs multiple passes over the same emotional material before it can process it fully. Each time the song plays, your mind gets another attempt. A lyric that meant one thing on listen 7 means something entirely different on listen 23. The melody unlocks a new layer. The chorus arrives and something shifts. Researchers describe repeating a song as a form of emotional rehearsal. You are not wallowing. You are not being dramatic. You are giving your nervous system the repetitions it needs to metabolize something that arrived too large to process in a single pass. The repeat button is not weakness. It is the brain doing its work. But there is something else happening that the science doesn't fully capture. When everything in your life is uncertain, when you don't know how something is going to end, when you can't predict how the person you love is going to respond, when the future feels completely unreadable, the song is the one thing that unfolds exactly as you expect. You know when the chorus hits. You know when the bridge comes. You know the exact moment the lyric arrives that will break you open. And because you know it's coming, your nervous system can prepare instead of brace. In a world where nothing is predictable right now, the song is. And that predictability is not a small thing. That predictability is the closest thing to safety your mind has found in the middle of something it doesn't yet know how to survive. You aren't hiding in the song. You are using the song to stay in the feeling long enough to find your way out of it. This pattern shows up in people who feel deeply and who have never had a perfect language for that depth. Not because they lack the words, but because the words available, the ones you can say to another person, in a real conversation, in the ordinary hours of a day, have never been quite right. They're approximate. They gesture at the feeling without landing in it. Music lands in it. A song can say, I know exactly how much this weighs. I know the specific quality of this silence. I know what it feels like to hold something this heavy and have nowhere to put it down. And when you find the song that does that, you don't let go of it. Not until the work is done. Not until the feeling has moved through you completely. Not until you press play one more time and realize it doesn't hurt the same way anymore. And you know, without being able to explain how, that something has shifted. And then, one day, you put it on again, and you wait for the feeling, and it doesn't come the way it did. The song is still the same, every note exactly where it was, every lyric unchanged. But something in you that was raw when you started has healed enough to hold it differently now. It doesn't hurt the way it did on day 1 or day 15. The song hasn't changed. You changed. And the repeat button, the thing that looked from the outside like grief on a loop, was actually the mechanism of it. This is what people who have never done it don't understand. They see the repeat and they think, you're stuck. They think, move on. They think, why would you keep going back to something that hurts? But you've always known that you were never stuck. You were processing in the only language that was working. So the next time someone asks you why you've been listening to the same song for 3 weeks straight, you don't owe them an explanation. But if you want one, you found the only thing that speaks the language of what you're carrying. And you are going to keep playing it until it finishes what it started. Because some feelings are too large for a conversation, too specific for a journal entry, too alive for silence. They need music. They need the right 4 minutes. They need the repeat. And they need someone patient enough to stay in it until it's done. You have always been that person.